This is the Be More podcast. I am your host, Jack Williams, and this is a show all about health, nutrition, mindset, and performing at our very best. And this is going to be your catalyst to being more. Welcome to episode 48, I believe we're of now on the Be More podcast. I am once again live on Instagram story. Hello, Instagram. I hope you are having an awesome Saturday morning. So this morning I've been to the gym, feeling great, just got home, and Facebook sent me these wonderful reminders that it's been 1 year from now that I did my last competition. So a year from today, I got the photos through from my photo shoot that I did the day before I competed, and I just come up on my Facebook and I was like, has that been a year ago now? And I can tell you now how much my life has changed. So people that are joining Instagram now, you're wondering what's going on. I'm recording a podcast, but I'm also talking to you guys at the same time. So a year ago today, competed for the last time I competed. And the picture came up on Facebook a year ago. I'm probably going to share it in a minute and put it as part of this story. But I was very lean. It was in great nick. Probably the best shape of my life. When I competed, come second in the competition, or was it third? But mentally and physically was not healthy at all. So bodybuilding, physique competitions, etc. are not healthy things to do. I'm not discriminating the competitions or anything. I think people who do it are incredible legends. Like it's a difficult thing to do. And it shows work ethic, consistency, patience, discipline, and they're all traits that I now transfer into things that are much more fruitful for myself in a health and wealth perspective, but from a business standpoint. But yeah, felt awful. And people never really saw that. They just thought, wow, Jack's in great shape, fair play to him, but they didn't see the eating disorder that I developed by doing so. They didn't see how I felt mentally. They would just be like, I don't know, people just don't know what's going on inside other people's heads, right? And that's how I felt a year ago. And this morning I was in the gym, and at the moment I would say I maintain a body shape now without even trying, without being big-headed, whereby I'm probably, if I wanted to get on stage, I don't want to get on stage. If I wanted to get on stage, I'm probably about 3 weeks away from doing so. And I maintain that kind of shape all year round now from not dieting. I no longer have an eating disorder. I feel healthy. I have more energy than I've ever had in my life. And it's just a year of what's happened from a year between now and then where I'm just like, I'm going to jump on a podcast and tell people my story, and how that's when I actually started the Be More podcast as well. So if you're thinking right now, like I'm not really happy where I am, a lot can change in a year. And I knew that how I felt right then wasn't good. And a big famous Jim Rohn quote is, for things to change, you have to change. And I was doing stupid things with my body, like competing, which drove me actually into disliking the fitness industry. It drove me to dislike the industry that I got into, to try and, because it's what I wanted to do in my life. It made me dislike it. I just thought, I wasn't a happy kid. So I was thinking to myself, what can I do? Read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he had a free seminar in Portsmouth. So I'm thinking, I'm going to go along to this and see what it's all about, because they're offering financial freedom, time freedom. I'm like, I'm going to go and have a look, because I wasn't happy, because I was being an idiot. I wasn't looking after my body. I was doing things that were too aggressive, and I wasn't really being an advocate of a healthy lifestyle. It wasn't something that people could attain or people could adhere to. And there was me being a personal trainer, but I was following methods that were unsustainable. And so I went to this course with my mate, who was a client at the time, and we signed up for a property course, which cost us £28,000, 14 grand each. And so we're invested into this thing thinking, right, this could be our gateway out of our jobs that we don't like. When really, we didn't dislike our jobs. We just disliked the person I was being, I didn't like. And that was because of the decisions that I was making, from aggressive dieting, not being like a the person I wanted to try and be. Like the energy that you give off is what you attract into your life, right? And I wasn't attracting the type of business into my business that was a healthy, fit, and active lifestyle. It was a aggressive diet. It was a aggressive form of training, and it wasn't really attractive to people. My business wasn't bad. Like, I was making good money, and I loved my clients to bits, but I was encouraging them to do aggressive things as well, because people just like mirror what you do. So anyway, I started the podcast, the Be More podcast. I didn't feel like I was being more, by the way, at all. And I've interviewed guests on this podcast over the last 12 months, and they've completely inspired me and changed my life massively. Just by listening to them and their daily habits and what they do and how they're being more. If anything, it's taught me to be more. And now, like, I felt, looking back, like my life was like an Instagram filter. I would filter everything. It wasn't really how I was feeling. Like, I would be posting things that were quite motivational, but it wasn't how I was feeling. Like, I would be living a Monday to Friday healthy lifestyle, and then at the weekend I'd be going out drinking enough gin to sink bloody, I don't know. I was drinking a lot of gin. I was doing unhealthy things to my body. I was going out with people that didn't value the things that I valued. And yeah, it was just a constant circle of living for the weekend still, spending all my money, making good money, spending it all, making good money, spending it all. There was always more money at the end of the money. And I didn't understand how, because I was making a lot. And it's just in this complete routine and this cycle of escapism. And yet I've got a podcast called the Be More podcast. So I'm thinking, right, I'm going to do this property course. When really, I'm not passionate about property. I'm passionate about health and fitness. I just lost my way. So I've gone to Australia in January, and I'm thinking, I'm going to move out here. Again, my escapism mind's thinking, I've got to get away. And I'm in Sydney for a month. I've got a passport. So I phoned my mum. I was like, Mum's from New Zealand. Can I get a passport? I'm going to move out here. I'm going to start again. Start fresh and try something different. For things to change, you have to change. And little did I know, it was all within me to change things. And so yeah, this is January now. So it's like 3 months after the competition. I'm still having this problem with food, whereby I'll eat well throughout the day, but the minute I start having some food, I binge. And I've got aligners, right? So I can't eat whilst I wear my aligners. So I would take them out, and I'd be in a rush mentally to get them back in. This is weird, right? Because otherwise I'll just keep eating. The time they weren't in my mouth, I'll just keep eating. And here's me being a healthy, fit lifestyle. And by the way, people aren't honest. In the industry, every single competitor deals with this. Every single one of them. And you'll see them posting things like, you can see how insecure they are, the people that are in great shape, by the things that they post after a competition. You know they're going to go on a massive bender of binging, and there's people that are probably watching this story or this Instagram live who I know who have gone through cycles competing recently. I wouldn't want to be in their headspace right now, because it's so hard. It's so fucking tough, because you do literally just want to binge, because you go through such a long period of focused on dieting for one thing. You've got this complete laser focus on one day, and then all of a sudden it's done. It's done, and you've got nothing. You lose your purpose. You lose your identity, and people put all of their purpose and all their self-worth into this competition. Whether they win it or not, after that date, what do you do? And this is where I was at, right? And then 3 months later, I've still got like a pretty bad relationship with food. I've still got really shit energy. For someone who's like wants to be in the gym all the time, wants to be like an advocate of a healthy and fit lifestyle, I couldn't do it. Like, I went to Australia, and I think I trained maybe 3 times in a month. And in them 3 times, I felt great, but I just couldn't motivate myself to go any other times. And yeah, I still had the problem with food. It was alleviating a bit, but not massively. And what else was I going to tell you about Australia? Yeah, I just didn't feel how I should have felt for someone who was recording a podcast called Be More, and for someone who wanted to be an advocate of this health and fit lifestyle. So, come back from Australia, and like I said, I applied for my passport, and I'm still going about my business. Get back into personal training. I'm like, right, I'll do this until whatever might happen. And then all of a sudden, I get an email asking to do a talk on fitness and motivation for a big corporate company. And I'm like, I completely shit myself. But I replied to the email, I'll do it. Because I'd just seen on Instagram that this post saying, it was by Richard Branson. One of his famous quotes was, if you get an opportunity and you don't know what to do with it, say yes and figure it out and do it anyway. So I just said yes. I'll come and do the talk. So like scared of public speaking, by the way, like the most scared person in the world of public speaking. I had to do it at university and I wanted to be sick many times before doing it. Just didn't want to do it. Like imagine doing an Instagram live. If I had to think about that about a year ago, I'd be like, nah, no way. I'll record a podcast in my safe zone and then I'll listen to it back 6 times, then maybe post it. Whereas now, completely real, no filter, just telling you how I really feel, really, and the truth that people don't really know. So anyway, go and do this talk and meet my girlfriend, who you now see on Instagram with me all the time. So lucky on that day, was talking about fitness, and since that talk, lots of people who came to that talk, I think some of you listening right now, have seen great results from applying the things that I spoke about on that day. So I knew it all, but I just wasn't applying it myself consistently with discipline and with discipline. Like I wasn't applying it consistently. I'd still be going out and treating my body in a bad way and still be struggling with food. Anyway, so in the same month, done my first public speaking course event, got a few more booked in because it went so well. And then I also interviewed on my podcast Kevin Green with the intention to try and make him sound inferior on my podcast, because I was the guy and he was the one recommending Herbalife, which I thought was a scam. I thought the products were rubbish and I thought it was a pyramid scheme like everyone else does, right? I was like, nah, that's a load of rubbish, just because that just is what happens in, like, one bad word gets spread and it becomes like this thing where Herbalife's a load of rubbish, it's a scam. A few years ago, I think they got done for something. What a load of rubbish. Went round his house and he blew me away. Great guy, great character, only with good intentions and a good heart. And we just spoke on a podcast for like an hour and 20 minutes. You can go back to I think it's like episode 8 of the podcast. You can go back and listen to it, right? And nothing happened. I just literally went about the podcast, recorded it, and just thought, he's a great guy, carried on with my business. He didn't try recruiting me. He just followed up in about 2 weeks after and went, what was the feedback from the podcast, Jack? And how are you? I was like, feedback from podcasts has been really good, mate. I'm all right, just a bit tired. You know how it is. Good news though, I've got my passport. I might be moving to Australia. He goes, Jack, why don't you come around? Why don't we get lunch? Anyway, one thing led to another, and I actually got involved with Herbalife, having used the products for a month. I said to Kev, I'm not going to ever use it as a business, but I want to try the products because you reckon it's going to give me more energy and I reckon it isn't. Let's have a bet. So we had a bit of a bet. He gave me the product. I used them for a month. Within 2 weeks, I rang him and I was like, have you put something extra in this? Because I feel unbelievable. I just met Robin, so me and her were in the early stage of a relationship, as you do. I'm not going to go into detail, but there wasn't a great amount of sleep and I had more energy. And I was like, this doesn't really work out. For someone who's quite clued up on nutrition, training and sleep, surely if I'm having less sleep and I'm eating worse and drinking more gin because I'm always taking Robin out, I shouldn't have more energy. Yeah, I had more energy. I've rung him, I goes, what's in this? Is this legal? He's like, yeah, keep doing it. And I'm like, no shit, it's making me feel good. I'm not going to change something if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Kept doing it. And then he goes, Jack, pop round. Take a look at the business. And I'm like, I don't need a business, Kev. I've got a business. He was like, yeah, a business that gives you no time. You've barely got enough time to see your new girlfriend. And how much are you enjoying it right now? If you were, why are you looking for a property business? And I was like, nah, he don't know what he's talking about. I know the right way. But I'll sign up as a member anyway. And I'll get my mum on the products. Because if I feel good, she'll feel good. Mum gets on the products. Within 2 weeks, she messages me, Jack, I've lost a stone. And I've like put my hand down. I'm like, no way. rung her and I've gone, are you joking? Because my mum, I've been a PT for 5 years and she hadn't lost a single pound whilst I was a PT. I wasn't obviously physically training her, but I was talking to her about nutrition. I was going around there and she'd be like, Jack, what do I need to eat? I need to lose a bit of weight. My ankles are hurting from walking the dogs. That shouldn't be happening at my age. I'm like, yeah, all you need to do, mum, is just count your calories. And she's like, oh, I can't be doing all that rubbish. She's too old. She can't figure out how to even send a WhatsApp message. She's not actually that old. Mum, if you're listening to this, you need to become more tech savvy. But she wouldn't have any of it. Our other half at the time, he was all over it. He was tracking. He was using MyFitnessPal. But even he wasn't seeing great results because he wasn't consistent. And I wondered why. I was like, these people just aren't consistent. They aren't willing to do the do. When really, doing the do is just... There's someone walking past on the seafront with a big elephant. This is super weird. Apologies. But yeah, he just wasn't willing to do the do. And I'm like, how can I make doing the do more simple for people? Mum's lost now £28 or something on the products. Mental. Looks like a different person. And she's now got involved with a community that makes her feel better. Like, it's just crazy the journey that I've been on in the last year. And it sounds like this is like a massive Herbalife pitch. It literally isn't. It's a pitch saying, if you don't like where you are right now, for things to change, you have to change. And yeah, in the last year, so that was February. It's built throughout the last 6-7 months. We're now September. My mental, by the way, I haven't eaten like a binge for 5 months. I still get to eat what I want. I just don't go out of control. Yeah, I can't tell you how I feel. I used to literally get home. I still got my aligners, but I'm not in a rush to get them back in. My smile's better than ever because they actually worked. Like the best £4,000 I've ever spent. Physical health, like I run up and down the seafront most days now, whereas I wouldn't be able to dream of doing that when I last competed. Even though I looked good, I wasn't fit. I would be able to lift weights for 10 reps, then stop and be blown out my ass. So I now feel like the business that I was trying to build, like an advocate of that. I now feel fit. I now feel healthy. I now feel like an example. I now feel like I'm being the kind of example I would want to be if I had kids. Like I would want them to see the person that I've become, and I'd want them to be like, I want to be like daddy. Whereas a year ago, if they saw what I was doing, I wouldn't want them to be like me. I'd be like, do as I say, not as I do. And that is the worst advice you could ever give anyone. Do as I say, because people just mirror people's behaviour. If I had kids a year ago, they would be going into a lifestyle where they think drinking gin's a celebratory thing because the week is so difficult, and then weekends are escapism. They would think that binge eating is the normal thing. And these are all things that kids shouldn't see. And this is where I get passionate about. As parents, you've got to set the example, just like in any business. As like a leader, you've got to lead by setting the example. You can't be like saying, do as I say, not as I do. And I used to do this with my clients as well. I'd be in a bulking phase when really I just couldn't control my appetite. I'd be putting on weight, and my clients would be like on a fat loss phase. And they'd be like, Jack, why do you keep posting on your Instagram story all the Ben and Jerry's and stuff? And I'd just be like, don't do as I say. No, do as I say, not as I do. When really you've got to set the example. You've got to be the leader. You've got to, if you want to attract something into your life, that you will attract what you are and who you are. And if you wonder why you're surrounded by people who are negative and people that aren't potentially taking you on a path that you want to go on, it's because you haven't changed. It's because that's the people that you're attracting into your life. If the people you're surrounded by are holding you back, it's because you're in your own way. You're holding yourself back. It's not until you realise like you are in control of everything. Take ownership of every single thing that you do. Like it's a Saturday morning right now. Some people are listening, and you're mental if you are. But like that, we live in a world where the weekends are just completely off. Like I would be like, I'm not recording a podcast at the weekend. That's my weekend off. Whereas now, I have no time off. It's just, I'm just living my life. I don't have a work on off switch. It's just, I just literally get to do what I want to do with my time all the time. And I've never been happier. And I get to just, I can't tell you the difference in my life from a year ago till now. And hopefully that's come across in this podcast and on this Instagram live for you to see like I'm a different person now. For things to change, that you have to change. And yeah, I'm so excited about my future. Like, I'm not looking for escapism. Like, I've got a passport. I can go and live in Australia whenever I want. But I don't want to go. Like, I'm going to go eventually because I want to go and live abroad somewhere. I want to try and challenge myself to go and live somewhere else, make new friends, build a new organisation in Sydney. That's my plan. And me and Robin will go there at like maybe 2 years' time, once we've got the empire that we want to build here. But like, we're excited to do that, right? And yeah, I'm excited about my future. I'm excited about today. I'm not like nervous about the fact that I might go on a crazy binge later. I'm not anxious anymore. Like, and these were things that I would be facing every single day, and they'd be in my way. Like, I'd want to go and do all these things, and I want to be productive, but in my way would be my head, my anxiety, like the gym or the people that I was surrounding myself with. And I still love all of them people. They still are not people that I've just disowned. But I needed to change myself. I don't blame anyone. I don't put anyone else to blame but myself. And that's a powerful position to be in, because when you realise that, I think I saw the other day, you make 36,000 decisions every single day. When you take ownership and you realise that you are in control of your destiny, which sounds so like cheesy, but true. Like, you'll see people who are achieving unbelievable success in their life with their fitness, with their income, with their relationships, and you'll be like, that's like an overnight success. I guarantee it's not. I guarantee it's not. And I guarantee it's the result of just years and years and years of personal development, of habits that you repeat every single day in, day out. And now I know I'm on the right path, because my day in, day out habits are going to give me the life that I want. And it already is. And it's just going to continue to build in the compound effect, which is an unbelievable book, by the way. If you haven't read it, The Compound Effect, write it down, go and buy it on Amazon today. It's like £7. The best £7 you'll spend. You'll probably spend it on a double gin and bloody tonic tonight. Spend it on that instead, or as well, whatever floats your boat. But I just know that my life and my actions now are in alignment with where I want to go. And I'll see things that inspire me. And I know that 4 or 5 years' time, I'll be doing them things because my life now is in alignment with that. So we're taught, like, there's people with really big bins, they're picking up rubbish on the seafront. That's cool. I might show you in a sec. But when you we're taught to set goals, but not really. We should be taught to set goals in school. But we get taught SMART goals, right? SMART, measurable, achievable, realistic, and then you set a time or a type. And the goals should be short-term, long-term, whatever it might be. And then you need to break it down into goals that you do daily almost to get you to that long-term goal. And I now feel, and I know my vision, I know where I want to go, and I now genuinely feel happy in myself because I know that I'm doing the things every single day that will take me towards them. And I'm a product of my environment, my decisions, and where I'm going to go. So like where I take my life, I'm so excited about, by the way, that I'm going to document through Instagram, YouTube, whatever platform. Like, it will be a result of my actions and what I do. Just like whatever you're watching now, whatever you want to do, whatever your goals are, you will be the only person who can get you to them. The decisions that you make every single day will be what determines if you get there or not. So you can't blame anyone else. You can't blame your parents. You can't blame your mates. You can't blame your boss. You can't blame your missus. Like, the only person in control of the direction you take in your life is you. And I now feel 1 year into the Be More podcast that I've grown so much as a person. And success isn't something that you pursue. Success is a result of the person that you become. And yeah, get Jim Rohn in your ears, because he's someone that I listen to almost every single day. And it's just taught me so many valuable lessons. And now I feel like I'm genuinely starting to be more. And like I said, it's only just a start. So, perfect mindset, my friend. Keep pushing forward. Thank you very much, My Fitness Life Y3T. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thanks for your time. Hopefully you got some value. And the Be More podcast is going only in one direction, because I can imagine I'm going to be attracting even more awesome guests, because you attract whatever you give off in this world. And as cheesy as that sounds, it's the truth. So I haven't even like watched The Secret and all that rubbish, but it's just the way it is. And all of the things that are happening would dictate in your life who you attract in and the direction that you go, because you are the average of the 5 people you spend your time with. So good times. Have a great weekend, people. Thanks for your time. I'll look forward to hearing your feedback as always. And make sure you check out the episode of the podcast when it goes live. It'll go live on SoundCloud, iTunes and YouTube probably tomorrow or Monday, and I will catch up with you guys next week. Cheers guys, see you later.